I'm Albert from Prime Sound JP, and today we're going to talk about the Arturia MicroBrute. For the people that haven't seen this yet, okay, what we have done is we posted a tracks, as we call it, a kind of synthesizer song, and 6 or 7 interesting issues came up in that video. Okay, the very first one is a little synth from Arturia called the MicroBrute. Okay, and today we're going to talk about where it comes from, what it is, how much it cost, and etc, etc. So we started basically by opening the box, although that box particular has been open for a couple of months now. We've been playing with it for quite a while already, but it's fun, so that's why. The MicroBrute book, okay, is very good. I used to translate and write user manuals for synthesizer manufacturers myself, so I know how hard it is to write a good and interesting user manual for a synthesizer. And we're going to get back to the manual through the tutorial, and sometimes I'll pick it up and read from it, okay? But I guess the first thing you need to know is that Arturia created a lot of VSTs, okay, virtual synths, okay, that are right there in the computer. And I'll get back to you later. I'll take you to the website. We can see some more, okay? But at a certain point, and I'm still assuming that's around 2015 or something, okay, in the introduction, as it says in the booklet, okay, the MicroBrute was created based on the award-winning analog designs of its big brother called the Midi Brute, okay? And these are real analog hardware synthesizers. Analog, yes, real analog. That's why the fun comes. You can hear that in tracks, okay? When you just switch it on and immediately start playing, that the synthesizer is in need of calibration, or in other words, it's out of tune. That's really funny. Obviously in tracks we didn't just put it on, but we used the LFO to imitate that gesture. But the fun thing about analog synthesizers is that they are detuned sometimes, and that's why the whole idea in the tracks was to detune it ourselves, okay, to create this analog feel. Anyway, I'm drifting off as usual. The point is that we're looking at what's inside the box and what you're getting, and the first one is the book, okay, with a good piece of history and a good story about who made this synthesizer. What's more in the box, okay, is this beautiful envelope, okay, with sheets inside, okay. So it's called the Analog Synthesizer Preset Sheets. Okay, then there are 2 different kinds. The white one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white ones. Okay, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 orange ones. The orange ones already have little markings on them. I'll try to show it to you like this. Okay, you see the red markings there, okay, and if you put them on the synth, as we will do later, okay, and you adjust the knobs all to those positions, you get 10 classic analog presets on the MicroBrute. There's brass and there's and again that's all written out in the book. So good. That's very handy, and it reminds me of the Korg MS-20 user manual and all that stuff. Difference being that in the old days we used to do this too, because you know synthesizers didn't have memory, didn't have presets. Okay, so basically in our heads we remembered the position of cables, we remembered the position of the knobs, but you know you cannot remember hundreds of presets. So Korg MS-20, we got this thing that you cannot put on top of the synth, okay, but at least you can see the button, so you make these notes so later you can recall a preset, hence the word preset. I guess, preset. The other thing in the box is the registration card of the MicroBrute. Okay, and the fun thing about this is that if you do this and you stay in touch with them, okay, that you can get updates and all that stuff, but you can even get discount if you buy products on their website. But anyway, I'm not an Arturia salesman, but I have to admit that I am quite impressed and on what Arturia does, and honestly I've been a user from Arturia now already for 2.5 years. I love the virtual synths. When we go and have a look at the website, you will see also that they have just done another virtual synth again, which is the Oberheim OBXA. I had a good friend called Pim. I'm not sure if Pim is still on Arturia, but if he is, he's going to be very excited. Arturia, your experience, your sound, okay? We can see the website. The digital audio software company, makers of Prophet 5, and so Arturia is a French electronics company founded in 1999, says Wikipedia, based in Grenoble in France, and that's exactly what it is. So having a quick look in the Arturia website on products, we see here the MicroBrute that we've been testing, and the Mini Brute, its father or big brother, the Matrix Brute, which should then be the uncle or perhaps even the grandfather. Oof, what a beast. I hope I will be able to put my fingers on that one. So, but what I was trying to tell you is that Arturia is so much more known for its software synthesizers, software instruments. And in 1999 they already started when they founded the company. Okay, they in 2007 already worked on what they call the analog factory, and by now the V collection number 7 is as far as the Casio, CZ-V, the Synthi, the Mellotron, the X7, Fairlight, Buchla, the ARP, Modular from Moog, or should I say Moog, and all the others that you see here in the line. But not just that, they also create these effect emulations, virtual effects, not virtual synths, but virtual effects, I should say, I guess. Where is the delay that they call the Tape 201, which is obviously the Roland RE201 that I used also in my studio when I was a young man, as I had almost all the other synthesizers in Arturia as well in the Midi Maze studio in Holland. Anyway, enough nostalgia. Let's get back to the MicroBrute, and let's see how she sounds. Is that correct? So let's see what this Brute can do. First of all, here in the oscillator part, okay, this is where the sound is coming from. The bottom row, okay, is what we call the wave mixer. So this is where the volume is coming from. So we have a sawtooth, we have a block, and we have a triangle. You see, different, with these buttons here I can mix in the volume. Okay, so if we just open up the sawtooth and use the sequencer, so it will help me explaining what I'm doing. If you click on the key, it will rephrase it and put it in another tune. So in this case it's going to help me, so I don't need to play. Now let's listen and look here in the oscillator to the mixer control. These are basically volume buttons, okay, of the one oscillator that the Arturia has. So if I would open up the sawtooth volume, I can hear the sawtooth. The mixer is an interesting thing because if we put it quite loud, okay, there's this nice analog distortion. As you can see, I've got the filter all open, so we can really listen to what the volume of that specific waveform is doing. So let's open up the block wave. You can hear the difference in sound, right? Then here we have the triangle. There's a fourth mixer button here, which is the sub-oscillator, okay? This machine only has one oscillator, but there is a sub-oscillator. The sub-oscillator is giving you an octave below or a fifth. So let's listen one more time to the different wave types. The sawtooth. As you can hear, this is really a sharp tone. The block. And the triangle. So now the buttons above, okay, what they're doing here, apart from the sub-oscillator, because that's choosing for the octave or the fifth. Now what the buttons above do is shape the wave. It's called the wave shaper. Let's have a listen. To me, this one, for the sawtooth anyway, is creating an overtone. Okay, so when it comes to the block wave, it is dealing with the width of the sound, okay? You can make it wider or you can make it narrow. Wide, narrow. And there we are. When it comes to the triangle wave, the sharpness is added by the wave shape, which is called metallizer, which is a typical Arturia term, really. But yeah, it sounds more metallic. So obviously the fun thing is that you can bring in these shapes, okay, together to create sounds. Now what I'm doing here is twisting these knobs to change how the sound progresses, okay? Can be done with the mod matrix. So for everyone who doesn't really understand stuff like matrices, okay, this is exactly the explanation of what your ears hear, okay? I'm changing, for instance, the pulse width, making that sound more narrow, okay? And if I would want to automate that, I would choose the LFO. The LFO, the low frequency oscillator, is this thing that creates a wave. Basically the same what happens if I turn this knob, okay, but it's going to do it automatically. It's going to do the amount here, it's going to do the rate here, and the button here, the knob here, the pulse width, is right here, PWM in the matrix. There we go. Let's have a listen. And you can hear if I up the rate, you see, now you can hear it very clearly. Again, what it's doing, it's very quickly moving the knob. So if I don't want to use my hands to do that, I'll use the matrix. So here's the amount. See, there's nothing now. And now there's more, or a lot. And this is controlling the speed it does it with. And by now I've got an interesting sound. The only thing we could do is use the filter to create some even more variation. some resonance. And there we are. So now we could change the sound. Perhaps a sawtooth, warmer sound, a little bit more sustain, something lower. And we could overdub that, record it. And we could keep going. Use the other metalizer, higher octave. And I guess that shows what I mean with loopers, effects, and what the Arturia can do. Up to the next part. Welcome back again. We're going to talk about what happens if you put the MicroBrute in connection with a DAW, in this case Ableton Live. Okay? I'm looking forward to connect it to Pro Logic 2, because I like that software as well. There's a new version out, Logic Pro X 10.5, seems to be amazing. It's got patterns the way Ableton has. But for now we're going to first lock them up into Ableton Live. To do that we're going to use the Novation probably. We're going to use the Triton perhaps, okay? And for the first challenge we'll be using, there we are, Ableton Live, okay? So as Sam will film for you, we have a PowerBook standing by and we have an iMac standing by, okay? Now the iMac is going to record the audio and the PowerBook is going to record the MIDI. Basically the idea is that when you have a looper, as I said before, we might want to use the looper so we have more than one Arturia MicroBrute. The looper will play one part and the MicroBrute Live will play the second. So you got two MicroBrutes. Now what happens if you have Ableton, that you can download for free by the way, okay, and you've got 8 tracks to record, audio, okay, then you have 8 microbrutes, and that's a fact. Now I was explaining to Sam, who is filming me right at this moment, I was explaining to Sam that, you know, if you take the MicroBrute's 1 oscillator and compare that with other synths that have 2 oscillators or perhaps even 3 oscillators, and then the general idea is that, you know, if you have 1 oscillator playing and the sub oscillator is playing an octave lower and you detune that a little bit, well, then you got this sound that everybody says, whoa, this is fat. Okay, a Minimoog, it's got 3 oscillators, and there's other synthesizers that can do that too, making the sound even fatter. So how do we do that with a Brute? Well, we record a little sequence, and don't look at what I'm playing, because it's not about what I'm playing, but it's about, you know, what we play with, the sound. So if we play one sequence into the one Ableton Live on the left, then record it into the other Ableton, then go back to the sequence sound, change the sound a little bit and record it again, then we've got 2 oscillators playing. Let's give that a try. There we go. That should be enough for a little pattern. So here we can see the pattern right there on the screen. Let's cut it out so it loops well. Let's quantize it, say on 16ths, and see how it sounds. And as you have probably seen, I'm switching to the other computer. I'm quickly inputting the sound into this audio channel. You can get rid of the MIDI channels. We're not really using MIDI on this computer. So here we go, external in, okay, and record it. Now, since I can link to Ableton's, here we go, the stop link toggle shows and the start stop sync is on, okay. The input comes from the network. We'll definitely get back to this one time, but it's quite simple. We activate link. You can go to the other computer and activate the link as well. And there you'll see that it's linked up. So if I start the computer here, the other one will run. And as you can see, I'll go to the other computer again. It'll work the same way here. So the only thing I gotta do now is play it once, so I can record it. So there we go. Same thing as I've done before. Check it, everything is working, and then we're basically ready to record the other track. So I'll mute this one to make sure that we're not getting confused what is what. Now we'll go back to the sequencer, ready to play it again, but we changed the sound a bit, so let's listen to it. Okay, and Let's do that one more time. Insert an audio track. That's track number 3. Making it a little bit dizzy, but I'm sure you guys still follow me. And go back to the first Ableton. So we're going back to the other Ableton and we'll do one more run and record this third oscillator. There we go. And there we are. We have recorded the 3 first Brute audio tracks. So let's have a listen to them. This one, it's got a little bit buzz and a little bit more cut-off. And that's number 2. That's number 3. Play a little bit with the volumes, making the sound. Like one a little bit to the left, one a little bit to the right. And there we are again. You see, this is the Brute on its own. And now when you listen to it, it actually sounds a little bit thinnish. So if we would start this off with a little bit of drums, okay, and it's interesting to show, okay, what I'm using for drums, okay. This is from the UVI. We'll get back to that topic, but this is actually the drum Brute, okay. So let's just say that I've got it in sampled form or something. So there we are. I'd say mission accomplished. The other thing we could do is, if I would listen to the first one, and if our target is to make it sound Moogish or mini Moogish, then we can use the typical Midi filter to make it sound a little bit more mini-ish. Let's listen to this for a moment. Filter, without the filter. You can hear it, it's giving a... This is typical Moog. This is typical Mini. It's just a filter that makes it sound like the Mini. Play around with the emphasis or the resonance. And there's that Moog again. So back to the filter, to the Midi filter. Perhaps it's also interesting to show that it's not just the Mini that they do, but they actually also do a SEM filter. And again, we'll get back to that also later. But as you can hear, I often use this if I want to make drum sounds. You need noise for the snare and stuff like that. So. The SEM filter. Last but not least, another overamp filter, very famous overamp filter, the Matrix filter. Okay, there we go. There we are. But as I said, we'll get back to this. We're going to go to Pro Logic now and activate the new sampler. I used to be working with Pro Logic 10.4.8, if I'm not mistaken, with the ESX24, and now there is a new sampler in Pro Logic. So The idea being that after we showed the looper and after we showed you what happens if you audio record into Ableton or whatever, what happens when you take that brute and sample it into a sampler and then play it again on the keyboard. The advantage, of course, is that you can stack different sounds together, forming one sound. And the other advantage is that you can play the brute polyphonic. Back in a second, we'll hop into Pro Logic. There we are. That should be enough. That worked fine. We have an audio. So we take now the sampler. There she is. We select a default sound. And again, this is not a bad sampler. I've had fun with it, exploring it. It's the first time I'm doing it myself, but so edit it so it's ready for the sampler. Of course, we can always edit it later also inside the sampler, but this will help. Just drag it in. It's as simple as that. Boom, there she is. Now go to the zone, okay, and sorry, to mapping, and give it a key. I'm giving her C1, and now even lower C, the whole keyboard. As I said, this sounds great, fun. Let's play with the synthesizer parameters. It's not looping. We can also make it loop, but as you can see, I've made a long sample. I'm not going to need a loop when it's that long. So here's the synth. First thing I would do is let's go for a fat 24 dB filter. Add a little bit resonance, drive it more. Keep looking at the volumes because it might go a little bit too loud now. And then always a good trick, you put your velocity on the filter cutoff. You can see it here now. Okay, when you play soft, okay, it will influence the filter. Same thing with velocity to resonance. Nothing to the mod wheel. Work on the ADSR a little bit. Nice and snappy. As you can see, we can make good choices. Good changes. Let's look at the other. A little bit better. that Samsung voice inside the sample, I think. That'll be great. Don't you think so? Yeah, I think that's it. So, great sampler, very, very simple. We're going to try something else, but before we do that, let's see what effects and other things would do. Who still remembers this one? Yes, also Arturia. Correct. The Roland RE210 Space Echo from Roland. Interesting, I think. For something else, Arturia again. So if we still think that the synth is not analog enough, how about using the Midi Filter? A little bit drive. Definitely bring that moo character in it now. Interesting, right? In sync with the beat. And if not the Midi Filter, perhaps the Sam. There you go. There we are. Let's see what it will do in the mix later with an arpeggiator. I kinda like the idea when you can influence the filter by just pressing harder, so more velocity. Now what's gonna happen if we would pick like a shifting pulse and one key. As you can hear, based on the velocity, it will change the filter. That's what's creating the pulse. Playing with velocity settings here. again. We're going to try one more thing with the Brute and the sampler, okay? And that is, I found this thing, okay? And I'm thinking about a D50 kind of sound that has belly sting on top of some kind of string kind of sound. So first thing we do, we're going to record the bell. And there we are. Let's give it a try. Yeah, that would do the trick, I suppose. So and then chopper. I guess the second one would bite the dust, my friend. And there we are. We're going to record a second track. There we go. Audio, hop, and there we are. More. More. I always wanted to try this, Sam. More. I always say if you go crazy, then go nuts, huh? So there we are. There is the ball. So we're obviously stacking some sounds together. Let's see what we have now. We have ball. And I think we might want to cut this out a little bit more. Make it a little bit longer. Ball. 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 Okay. And then we have one more track here for the Brute. Back to the Brute. And make something first on the Brute. Okay, there we go. See what happens. I need to tune this because it's out of tune. pitch shifter. Add some intensive reverb to this singer. And while we're at it, perhaps we should add some intensive reverb to the bell too. See, now we have something, right? I think this might be an interesting thing what we're doing here. So let's pick them up, all three of them, and blend them. I would like definitely like some more volume here. Let's be rude and do it this way. Process it. We need to bounce. And there she is. You see that? And that's how we do it. And now we have a new sample. So here we could continue with what we were doing, and I will delete everything we did before so you guys can see what I'm doing. And there we are. Pick up the sampler as we did before. Open it up, select the default and drop her in, and there we are. And I am sure that this is going to be lots of fun to play with. Let's back to the filter. Same trick as I did before. Told you I always do that. Now we need to look at the amp here. I guess the only thing we could do is add some more effects to make sure nobody hears it's me anymore. There we are. And that would conclude our playing around with samples. Okay, so we'll probably be going back to the mix and see what all these things together produce, but I can only tell you that if you spend money on a Brute, $349 US, and you play with it like this and you have 16 Brutes, this is such a funny toy. It is a lovely toy. I'll be seeing you in a minute. And there we are in the last minutes of this tutorial video. So, to wrap it all up, what did we do in this tutorial? A tutorial based on the tracks that we uploaded. It's the second episode of Prime Sound JP. The synth song, okay. The Arturia Brute, we took apart and listening to it, what the sounds did, what happened when you pulled and pushed the knobs. Then we connected it to a looper to prove that if you have a looper, you can add the effects in a multi-effect unit such as a zoom. For $100 more, you also have two Brutes, because the looper will play one part and you can play another part on top. I think for DJs and for bands, or perhaps a little solo machine or something like that, I think this thing is great. Okay, but if you connect the Brute to the computer and do Ableton Lite or Pro Logic, okay, I think things really start to happen. So that's what we did in the last half of the video. We connected it and recorded live, okay, in sync, and then we also sampled it in the new sampler from Pro Logic. So what we have in the last minutes is the final result of all these things coming together in this one song here. Me, I say goodbye. Don't forget, subscribe if you like it. It's right there in the bottom, and also at the end of the movie you can click on subscribe, and comment. Please comment. If there's anything I forgot or anything you want to know more about, I have no problem to make another part. We'll call it part 3 or part 3A. Fun. Peace.